Bella on my screen. Her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong.
Battles got power, Florabella stands tall. Every drip, every drop, watch the haters fall. Channel sharp as thorns, ain't taking no mess. Scroll through her feet, feel that queen's finesse. Vines tangle tight, but Flora breaks free. Roots so deep, can't mess with her tree. From the mud she rises, roses from the dirt. Every comment section she lays down hurt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign, strong and relentless. Beauty in battle, queen sure defenseless. From the garden green to the concrete wall, Florabella, unstoppable nature's child. Leaves whisper secrets, she's the loudest shout. From the channel buzzing, she never backs out. Seed of strength, through seasons she grows. In the face of doubt, her spirit glows. Cameras ain't a limit, she branches out. Thorns in her crown, she wears it no doubt. Flora's anthem, blooming under pressure. Resilient, resolving, no lesser. Florabella's reign, strong and relentless.
All right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hold on. Let me just make sure. All right. We got receiver. Okay, guys. I know I'm a little late. Today I was kind of tired. We're kind of being worked like cattle right now. So, my bad, y'all. We're kind of being worked like cattle right now. So, trying to get everything done before the 4th of July. So, I'm a little tired. Thank you guys for bearing with me and still showing up. I appreciate that. All right. So, like I mentioned, we're going to review chapters 3, 4. Let me check the ones that are in my title. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 10 of the MAMMY DSM. All right, we did start doing it a couple days ago now, maybe last week at this point. But I wanted to really get into it and give it the time that it deserves and the energy that it deserves by taking it step by step. Now, as you guys know, and good evening to everyone who's in, out, who's here, there, everywhere. I appreciate you guys for joining me this evening. If you could do me a favor and hit the notification bell, like, share, subscribe, all of that, I would greatly appreciate it from you all. Okay? So, we had made it to chapter 3, and that's where I was going to pick up here. Okay, now, like, if those of you who are here today know, you guys know that I do not spare a moment to use the word mammy. And hello, Empress Kia. She says, good evening to everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining. Please do me a favor and hit the like button, share, subscribe, all of that. If you guys are having trouble hearing me, just let me know. Like, you know, I have a new device where I can both provide you all better sound quality, comedic relief, and all that. But if my audio ever sounds struggle-ish, um, Dollar General-ish, just let me know and I'll fix it. I'll figure it out. All right, so we got to chapter 3. Now, for the most part, the beginning of the book, Miss Nyla says, Nicole, um, she spoke about where there was like a danger that came from the male worship, right? And now she's getting more in depth in it now. Like, the name of this chapter, chapter 3, is the MAMMY taxonomy, breaking down the types and definitions. If you guys don't remember, let me just take the beginning where we have, where we have the chapters, just so you guys kind of know what she talks about. Right, so what I kind of read the first time around was, what is mammying, the origins of the mammy mindset. And these 2 chapters were very in depth, right? We talked about how mammying is a modern concept. It's not something to be referred to slavery or anything like that. It's a new concept where, generally, for the most part, you just put the needs and feelings and struggles of men before everyone else, right? And she certainly talks about pre-slavery context and things like that, right? The actual definition here is, a man is any woman who consistently prioritizes the well-being, image, and success of Black men. Right, now, this is not inherently just in general a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when it's prioritized over the safety and success of Black women. And again, the second part of this definition, often at her expense and to the detriment of Black women. You know, and some people will say, well, oh, this doesn't impact Black girls. Well, Black girls turn into Black women. So if that's how Black women are being treated, inadvertently, it is an effect on Black girls. Right? The MAMMY DSM exists to name, deconstruct, and help Black women detach from toxic, male-centered social programming. So when anybody hears me talking about this book and reading my review, think of this as the general purpose, right? To deconstruct, to name, deconstruct, and help Black women detach from toxic, male-centered programming. Now, this is specific to Black women, but Black women are not the only women who are receiving male-centered programming, right? This is the patriarchal society that we live in kind of promotes that to a specific degree to each group of women, to all women, essentially. But things tend to be individualized based off of your culture and what you will relate to. So for Black women, you know, it's centered around Black male worship and, you know, prioritizing the struggles of Black men. So instead of understanding that Black women and Black girls become vulnerable when Black men are not participating in the community, when they're not protecting, providing, things like that, they'll often make excuses for those same men, right? To the detriment of the community, to the detriment of Black women and Black girls, Black children, period, right? Because Black boys as well, right? But again, children, that is the smallest portion of our life. I remember when somebody accentuated this fact when speaking about it. Yes, you are a child for the smallest portion of your life. For the majority of your life, you will be a grown adult. And so everything that happens when you're a child can inadvertently have effect on you as an adult. Right? So development and things like that become very important. But this is just me giving a little bit of a refresher. Also naming exactly what the purpose of the MAMMY DSM is. This book isn't meant to be a gaslighting tool for black men in the manosphere. Like a lot of the times, that's what people think. The conversations and the topics that we bring up in relation to black women are right. They're meant to be a conversation where we address issues in the culture and the mindsets. And mammy just happens to be one of those terms where people would pretend like they don't know. Yeah, all women. Exactly, Empress Kia. All women. It happens to black women, yes. But this is something that this is a male centered programming tends to happen to all women. Now, the degree to which we reject it and fight against those notions depends strictly on the culture and community that you come from. Okay, so yes, so these are some general traits of the mammy, right? Over giving, emotionally invested in protecting men. So if something goes wrong with men, this mammy, this person will be overly emotional and sensitive to that. Not sort of in the way that you're supposed to be of your own struggles, right? They'll be dismissive of women's pain, so they'll overly identify with the struggles of men to the degree where they will dismiss any pain that a woman could feel in that situation. They seek validation from male approval, right? So they'll have a lot of, this is somebody who will have a lot of male typical opinions. They'll use the language of men. So if you've ever heard a woman talk about women, but they'll describe them as females, like, oh yeah, I don't get along with females because females, and all you just keep hearing is the females, and you're like, that woman doesn't see herself as a woman, and she doesn't see other women as people. Regardless of what she tries to say, there's connotations, there's underlining connotations in everything that people say. And I think when it comes to women, if you address other women as females and you distance yourself from ideology that's typically related to womanhood and being a woman, if you dismiss the biological struggles, the emotional struggles that women go through, yeah, all of that, that's a pure dead giveaway. Believes black men are exempt from accountability. This is a big one, right? No matter what, whether it be a mild situation with the police, a very big situation, whether it be whatever it is, they just feel like black men shouldn't be held accountable, right? And now again, we're speaking specifically about the male-centered thinking and programming that black women get, and of course, this is going to relate directly to the activity levels of black men, what's typical of them, etc. Obviously, this varies, but that's generally what it's going to be based off of. So, okay. Root causes of mammy. Again, generally, mammy, the root cause of that is slavery conditioning, right? The conditioning of like, well, these men can do no wrong. We have to continue to support them, continue to reproduce with them, even though we're not building families. There was a point where it was literally illegal for slaves to marry each other, right? So there's this conditioning that kind of goes in where um, it's said that people just sort of want to fall back into that mindset of like, oh, no matter what, we're gonna stand and ride beside the black man. There's religious indoctrination, Christianity, Catholicism, all throughout Africa has indoctrinated for the most part. Whatever indigenous spiritual beliefs that Africans had prior to colonialism. Uh, all right, generational teaching. These are things that get passed down in the household, right? From my perspective, I'm reading this from my understanding. Obviously, get the book and see it for yourself. But I would say for the most part, generational teachings are going to be things that are passed down into your household. So if you really bought in, if your family bought into a particular culture, there's going to be things that were passed down and practiced in your household that are a part of that culture. And so they become generational teachings because from generation to generation, those things continue to be valued and passed on to the younger groups. All right, and then we have media manipulation. So this is where the media uses their influence, whether people believe that um, they're influenced by the media or not. This is where the media will use their little influence to, like, sometimes they'll put out feelers of like what their popular and unpopular opinions are, things like that, where they'll try to sway how the general public feels like it. Nowadays, people will call them bots and stuff. Like, for example, Drake talked about how Kendrick Lamar had a bunch of bots and things out there to make sure that to make sure that they replayed his music nonstop, spoke about it in a positive light, things like that, right? So the media, there is media manipulation. There's Trojan horses that get sent out now that are meant to cause media sensationalism, um, going viral, things like that. All right, so just that's what I would think media manipulation is, sort of the media playing with narratives and stuff like that. So these are some popular cultural references that she mentions here. She talks about the classic Mammy, which is the Aunt Jemima imagery, the one that used to be on the syrup, and then they turned it into like steel mill or something like that. Heidi McDaniel and Gone with the Wind. There's the modern Mammy. So this is will be in characters like Sally from The Color Purple and Shahrazada Ali, who mentions black women having the cognitive abilities of a 14-year-old, right? Or saying in general that women, I think she was specifically speaking about black women, but mentioning that women don't age mentally past the age of 14. So just sort of trying to be insulting and dismissive in many ways, okay? All right. Ooh, we got a lot of haters in the building today. Make sure you guys also hit the like button, share, subscribe, and all that. I'll appreciate it. Obviously, going to be doing my review. So as I'm reading and interpreting this is from my understanding. You guys are welcome to wait for the paper copy of the book, like the paperback, where I'm told there's also going to be a workbook in it and something else, which is a little bit more detailed than the digital version. I wanted the digital version so I can get a look at what was being posited in the book and things like that, and sort of a first opportunity to review and read through it. So that's why I got the digital book, but there will be a paperback, which I'll put the link in this description as well. I don't know if I can edit it right now, but I'll make sure that it gets in there, which will also be the that one will be the digital link as well, but there is a paperback, so feel free to check back on the website for when there is the paperback, or yeah, I believe paperback, and then there's a workbook in it as well. All right, let us continue. Oh, we got a tough crowd tonight. YouTube's really not feeling me today, but it's probably because I canceled the stream like 100 times, and then you know what happened? Do you guys want to really know what happened? P. Diddy was indicted on three of 5 charges. When I tell you the things that weren't on my bingo card for 2025 was P. Diddy being indicted for 3 of 5 charges. When they came back with a fast verdict, I was like, oh yeah, he's done. He's going to jail. The more I think about it though, I feel like P. Diddy paid off the jurors. Either he paid off or manipulated and scared, probably intimidated their grandpa or something. Maybe he approached their families and offered retirement. But to me, like, the fact that the judge remanded him kind of gives you a sneak peek into the fact that, like, most people are like, why the hell would a jury acquit him of 3 of the most serious charges, but then charge him with prostitution? It's almost like they're saying, like, hey, we only believe certain parts of it were bad. You know what I'm saying? And that's for somebody who committed some pretty egregious crimes, regardless of the fact that he. So, how is he not guilty of. Here's my thing. How is he not guilty of sex trafficking, but he's guilty of literally transporting people across multiple state lines for the act of sex pleasure, whatever you call it, profit? I mean, it really just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I think these jurors, I don't think they understood the instructions. Yeah, exactly. I think either they were playing dumb or they were paid off, because any other time, a jury coming back that quick is that's a guilty. Usually, coming back as quickly as they did and said, "Hey, we don't. Yeah, this doesn't seem like we're going to come to a resolution. We have we said what we said about these charges, not guilty." Because essentially, that's what they said that first day. They essentially said, "No, we're deadlocked. Most of us believe he's not guilty, and some of us do." So, did they sway those people that literally were like, "Are you dumb? Like he's guilty," or were they all intimidated into not pressing charges, or sorry, not agreeing with the charge? Everything was there. They proved sex trafficking. Experienced attorneys who have been in front of judges literally said they proved sex trafficking. So how is it that the jurors get up there, they sit their funky behinds up there like this is OJ Part 2 and say, well, no, no, he didn't do this. No, sorry, we don't care what the definition of sex trafficking is. This seems like DV. They literally were repeating what, in some ways, what they said and how they convicted, how they found the charges in this case was essentially saying, like, hey, we see DV here, but we don't see anything else. Bribery, the predicates were all there. I felt the prosecution did an excellent job. To be fair, Empress, I felt the case was kind of weak. There was too many witnesses that had very little credibility, and I'm not saying that it's right that they had little credibility, but that's like trying to get the public to care about a serial deleter deleting a bunch of prostitutes. People generally just don't care. And it's not because prostitutes' lives don't matter, but it's because the same energy and resources are never poured into it. If you could link prostitutes to caring families and loving family members, you would have more people who cared, but that generally doesn't happen. Right? So we're way off topic. So I'm gonna get back on topic because the whole Diddy thing just it threw me for a loop. He was convicted of the Mann Act. I hope he serves his sentence consecutively. And yeah, you gotta really think about it, Empress. The fact that the judge was like, "You're not going free," like he had the nerve to turn around and tell his family, like, I'm coming home." Dude, you paid off the jury. He probably retired a few people out of New York. And in this economy, I can see why they would take the money. I'm not even playing. But still, it's ridiculous that they even would in the first place. All right. So, pop culture references and celebrities. Women like Monique and Oprah defending toxic men. Yeah, guys, I don't know if you guys heard about this in the past, but there was like, I don't know if it was rumors or some stories came out. I'm not going to lie, I was pretty young when I first heard of this. But apparently, Oprah was sponsoring a bunch of like ex-cons and felons and trying to help them get on the straight and narrow. And there was a couple who just kept relapsing and recidivizing, whatever, recidivating, whatever you want to call it, ending up back in prison. Only two witnesses lacked what was Capricorn Clark, and the other one was Mia. You got to think Capricorn Clark was a very massive piece of the case. So if they had been able to if P. Diddy's assistant had been somebody that more people could relate to on a, like, okay, it's possible that they were manipulated type of level, then okay. But I feel like there wasn't a lot of people who could relate to her intensity and involvement in things, and that tends to happen. What's up, OJ? I thought you were dead. I thought you were dead, OJ. What's going on? You had passed recently, so I don't know how you got in the chat. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot going on with this trial. I think the fact that he was acquitted of 3 charges, I don't know. Just to me, it doesn't sit right. The fact that it happened so quickly, they're like, nope, you didn't prove it. No, I think that he either got Diddy has long money, deep associations with people who are in high society. I mean, Donald Trump is our president. He's our sitting 47th president, and he was at a Diddy party. So we really have to accept that for what that means. I'm glad you're doing well, OJ. Hey, Dita. She says, hey, Flo. All right. So here's some real life situations, or for another term, case studies. Women who defend abusive partners, right? There is a male centered aspect in that, right? There's a sense of blaming and constantly taking responsibility for how other people treat you or react to you, or the respect that they have or lack thereof. OJ died. Yeah, he passed, Empress. I'm pretty sure. That came out, and there was like white women celebrating. That's why. That's why I remember. Okay. We have women who defend the pastor in the church even though she knows better, right? I've heard lots of scandals of pastors. I at one point I heard some scandals of a pastor who was impregnating like all the younger women, not like 19, 18, but like the women in their late 20s. He was literally impregnating a bunch of them in his congregation, and it was just this thing that people knew about, but they just stayed quiet. While he was building essentially like a concubine. All right. Women who downplay or ignore women-specific issues like FGM, deviant femicide. This is a big one. This one being because you will see a lot of women, or not a lot of women, but you will see women, the women who specifically tend to associate them or ingratiate themselves in male-centered spaces, who want to be like a face or a name or a popular person in some of these red pill maker spaces. This is where you'll kind of see that a lot for the most part, where they will be like, well, what did the woman do? Women shouldn't do this. Women shouldn't antagonize men. If you're gonna hit a man, you better expect him to hit you back. And all type like women who will literally downplay those situations where a man is obviously much stronger, and he chooses to utilize physical violence, whereas a woman may just be antagonizing him. Words are not an excuse for putting hands on somebody. So I always thought it was interesting to hear that. Women who attack other women for simply dating or being married to a man, right? There is sometimes those mammies who run around and they're like, "Ooh, you got a boyfriend? You got a boyfriend? How dare you? You call men nakers. How do you have a boyfriend? Or you call men bandits? You call men bandits? So you're married? What? It's crazy, right? That's what you'll kind of see. You'll see them sort of weaponizing that against your beliefs and sort of how you advocate for women. Um, Women who verbally or physically attack other women over a man or to gain favor with the man. This is my favorite one, because this is where you'll sort of catch some stray mammies, right? The women who you might be friends with or you might have just met or whatever, where they'll want to fight women that their men cheat on them with. Why would you do that? Why would you fight that woman? At least conserve your energy and fight him. He's the one disrespecting you. He's the one breaking his promises to you, not that woman. Not that those women are always totally innocent, but the fact that there are women who are willing to physically fight or attack another woman just because of a mutual man is crazy to me, especially because he's mutual and he's for the community. um, Women on social media making excuses for the redundant examples of anti-woman hate. right? These are women who will make excuses for men who promote physical violence or reprimanding your wife, right? They'll be like, well, some women need to be put in their place, or they'll say, I like to be put in my place. Miss Pick Me will stand up and she'll be like, well, that's what I like, and insinuate that that's something that represents the ideals and the wants of women, right? They'll exactly, Empress. I'm not defending no man. I'm sorry. I'm not none, zero. Stand up and defend yourself. You got it. Women who sleep with another woman's man knowing that he has a woman. This is like the ones who want what somebody else has. They don't want that man until they know he got a girlfriend, right? Those type women. I know that's a thing. Might not be common, but that's definitely a thing. All right, women defending celebrities like R. Kelly, Hugh Hefner, Bill Cosby, P. Diddy, and Harvey Weinstein. in light of recent, in light of recent events, you'll understand why P. Diddy was joined with that list of men, but somehow a jury said no, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. It was TV. It was TV. And give him prostitution charges. The judge did more of a job in terms of deliberation than this jury. I believe they were paid, personally. Dita says anything to be picked. Yeah, literally putting their lives on the line. It's insane to me, Dita. I really don't get it. Insane. All right, women defending any man with the primary purpose of garnering favor with other men. This is women who will stand up loud and proud and beat their chest and say, I'm not a feminist. I hate feminists. You feminists are ruining marriage. You're ruining relationships. You feminists are why men don't want women anymore. These are some of the most confused and delusional mammies of them all. Right? Because the whole purpose of even wanting to check a woman is because the man will see that favorably and be like, oh, yes, lovely mammy. Women who sacrifice themselves in any way for a man who care less about them. Right? This is women who will go out of their way to do something or to do the work of or to baby a man. And that same man, when he's asked to do the reverse, will be like, no. No, I don't want to give her a feather off my ass crack. Right? It's that non-reciprocal wanting affection or wanting attention or even wanting favors. All right. And women who attack other women for their power. Yeah, so we saw this one already. That was on there twice. All right, so what are the consequences of mammying? And trust me, there are a lot of consequences. The main ones being financial, right? Because a bandit who's expecting you to mammy for him is almost always going to be, bleeding through your wallet, right? Emotional and spiritual depletion. So this is where you won't even have energy for other tasks. The bandit, the naker that you're involved with is going to be taking so much from you and requiring you to be a mammy and needing that energy from you that you'll be depleted emotionally, spiritually, and you can only give out of a full cup, right? You can't give to people when your cup is half full or half empty, however you decide to see it. Right? Some of the other consequences are low self-esteem and self-worth. Forced to lead with sex because men see her as easy prey. Right? So you've come to see your only worth and value with a man is to offer your body. Right? The unfair silencing and betrayal of other women. So you're so accustomed to not having your needs met, right, that you'll want to silence other women. And that you betray women who seek to speak up and advocate for themselves. They reinforce toxic masculinity. So one thing a mammy won't do is stand up for other women. Like the lady paying her husband's child support for. Listen, Dita, I don't understand why anybody would take their 401k for a bandit. It's crazy to me that she would even take her money, her own money that has nothing to do with any time that she ever knew this man, take that money to pay child support? No, bro, you're getting on a payment plan. We're not even signing wedding papers until you can prove that you're on a payment plan that will never require me to pay anything. Yeah, it's all about desperation. It's all about having someone there to warm the bed. It doesn't matter what quality they have. And some, like some go so far as even giving their belongings. Putting investing emotional energy into that person. Right. So again, the more consequences of marrying, reinforcing that toxic masculinity. So those negative archetypes about men and women continue to be repeated. Right. They go into another cycle, another generation of people. All right, so we're going to go back to chapter 3. I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys the overview of the MAMMY DSM, what she means by MAMMY, what those terms mean today. All right, so we're on chapter 3, the MAMMY taxonomy. All right, so the MAMMY taxonomy generally is going to break down the type definitions, so like sort of where they come from, all the traits across the different types of mammies, and a little bit of a summary. All right, let me see what we have going on in the chat. We have Miss Empress. She's singing "Single Forever" in my Cardi B voice. All right, listen. Honestly, some of these relationships, it's giving stay single. All right, it's giving you don't need a man ever. All right, so chapter 3. This chapter introduces the various types of mammies, each with unique traits, motivations, and social behaviors. These archetypes explain how mammification shows up differently depending on personality, upbringing, and environment. All right, so core traits across all types: self-sacrifice, over-identification with male struggle. This is where people will call women male-identified, right? So instead of identifying with women and the struggles they have, whether it be with, oh, sorry guys, I was using the wrong stream. Not the wrong screen. Hold on. So this is where the term, like I was saying, male identified comes from, where they will take the wrong parts, right? They will not identify with women who are having biological issues or emotional issues related to being a woman, right? They'll disregard that. A lot of times they will be hyper focused in on the struggles of men. They disregard the well-being of women, and they manipulate gender norms. Right, the root causes again cultural normalization. I think specifically with the Black community, we normalize a lot of mammy behavior. Right, the coddling of men, the refusing to reprimand men, all of that. Right, Empress says the data shows being in a relationship benefits men more than women. Yeah, in fact, when women are in relationships, their health declines as well because they're taking on the burden of a bandit who cannot survive on his own. All right, so cultural normalization, misinterpretation of loyalty, right, and the lack of identity outside of male attachment. Some pop culture references are in movies. What's love got to do with it? The Color Purple and Fences. Right, a lot of these movies we're seeing struggle relationships. Some old sayings: as long as he knows where he's coming home to at night, right? Insinuating that a man can run around and be a dog all day. He can sleep around, have no value or respect for his family and children. But as long as he comes home at night, then that woman will take him as he is, which is crazy. All right, reality TV. Some pop culture references are Love and Hip Hop and Fix My Life. Music, Woman to Woman, No Pain, No Gain, Saving All My Love for You. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Whitney Houston. She sure know how to make a dusty situation sound very romantic, right? Because in that song, Saving All My Love, she's literally talking about being with a man who already got a woman and how she got to wait on the sidelines for a man that's not hers because he belongs to somebody else, and he got to spend the holidays and the good days with his wife and his kids. And it's so sad. So sad that she accepted the role of being a mammy. Strays belong outside. I agree, Dee, that they sure do. They belong outside, on the sidewalk, on the streets. They don't belong inside with regular people. All right, so some modern examples of different types of mammies. Oops, sorry. Female influencers defending male abusers. So these are women who take on the male centered ideology, right? They break into digital spaces of conversation by being defenders of males, right? They attack other women online to protect male celebrities. Their whole brand is built around being a savior for the male, and specifically the black male, right? So consequences of being a mammy in general, competition between women, misogynoir from other women, and continued male entitlement, right? So men feel like, well, we got this hold over women, well then we can just do whatever we want, right? We're entitled. So an intervention for this would be to ask who benefits from your suffering. Realize that loyalty without reciprocity is bondage. You can't be loyal to people who aren't keeping their word as well, who aren't following through with what they tell you that you can do to keep yourself safe in a better situation, whatever it may be, right? And then the action that you can take is step into self-centeredness, redefine support, protect your softness. All right. So thank you. You guys are in the chat. Keep keying it up. All right. Appreciate you guys here with me today. All right. So we'll start here. Women, especially black women, have always been forced to wear many hats, but often the need to juggle so many roles is not a badge of strength. It's a signal that she had no village and was surrounded by men who were either lacking or outright inefficient. She becomes the one woman solution to a system that consistently fails her. Why? Because the community has conditioned her to believe that her worth is measured by what she can endure and provide. And breaking from that role would make her look less than. That's a definite thing, right? I definitely think that um, the community, specifically the black community, makes it seem like black women need to be ride or dies. They need to stick and stand by just any old thing. That bandit could be, in and out of jail, committing egregious crimes. And as a black woman, it's our job to just stand by that man no matter what, which is crazy to me. All right. Um, let's see where we're out here. So many women today have no sense of identity beyond being Captain Save and I was not expecting Captain Save a Naker. You are celebrated for being loyal through betrayal, through violence, through exhaustion. You're praised for sticking beside him while he had kids on you, while he dragged your spirit through the mud, while he carried the household on your back. But at what cost? We all know this woman. She's the common law wife, the mother, the doctor, the lawyer, the therapist, the sex object, the warrior, the prayer warrior, the sole provider. And despite being neglected, she never misses a chance to serve a hot plate to a man who doesn't deserve a thing for her, who doesn't do a thing for her. And the saddest part, should she dare to speak up about it? Should she name the load she carries? She is shamed for complaining. Yeah, it's really sad. Now I'm gonna say this. I do think that this, like feeling like you have to endure, this is a mindset. This is one of those generational teachings where women continue to pass down this suffering, and they say, well, even though we understand that you have to do something completely opposite than this for you to benefit, this is what you have to offer. Just kind of plain and simple. And if you complain, you have some nerve. You're not in jail. You're not in here. You don't have to do this. Sorry, guys. I'm still at work. My brain was. Oh, should you dare to speak up about it? Should she name the load she carries? She is shamed for complaining. Right? How dare you? How dare you speak up about having to make excuses for men not showing up and not being there, make excuses for men not performing and delivering what they're supposed to do. You can just tell somebody works too much. They start talking about work while they're doing something outside of work. Yeah, you can just tell they work too much. All right. Her silence is demanded. Her smile is expected. And her suffering is treated as proof of her strength. Right? So there's this yeah, okay. So there's this belief that when you take on the burden of man, when you make excuses, when you literally baby and coddle men to your own detriment, right? To the point of, like she said here, being everything for a man. The mother, the doctor, the lawyer, therapist, object, prayer, work. When you take that on, that's something that people will cheer you on. They'll say you're a ride or die. Right? They'll say that you're the type of woman who deserves a man. You deserve this. And what mammies generally find is that no black man is waiting at the end of Mammy Mountain to carry you up, right? To lighten the load, to give you the ring that you're so waiting for, right? A lot of the times, the validation that comes from mammying is not even real, right? It's subtle thank yous by way of pressuring women into behaving this way, right? It's not even a real thank you. It's sort of just like, okay, well, this is what is expected of you, and when you do this, you have no problems. Everything's okay. Her silence is demanded. Her smile is expected. Her suffering is treated as a proof of shame. She's made to feel like she is kicking a man when he is down, right? So you can't hold a man accountable. If you hold him accountable, oh, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. Now you're attacking. Now you're weaponizing a system against a man. Everything that you could possibly be blamed for, you will be blamed for if you choose to hold men to accountability. Right? But this isn't strength. This is survival. Right? Unfortunately, in the black community, I would say survival is the standard. They teach and they pressure women into believing if you can survive, if you can struggle through a relationship, then you deserve a ring, you deserve the husband, you deserve to be protected and provided for, but not before, not after. A good woman is measured on how much a man can put you through. Oh yeah, you'll even hear them say, "Oh, if you want to get a ring from me, you gotta put up with a lot. You have to stay around. You have to stick around for a long time." And the reason why they make that a requirement for a ring or getting married, right? Because they want to dangle a carrot. They know otherwise, women aren't gonna stick around. They know that otherwise, after a little while, the woman's gonna be like, "Oh, this is not going anywhere." So they have to incentivize it. Like, okay, come here. Come, stick around with me while I continue to be a degenerate and I'll give you a ring. I'll propose to you. I'll let you plan and prepare a whole marriage that I don't care nothing about. I'll even put some babies in you that you can raise by yourself. That's essentially what they say. Yep, it's generational trauma. This is generational teachings. These are things that are passed down from one generation to the other. All right, so now that we've identified the types, it's time to break them down one by one. Let's start with the overt mammy. All right, the overt mammy is the proud defender of black men. The overt mammy is the most visible and vocal version of the archetype, right? So you're always going to hear the overt mammy. She's loud with her love for black men, unwavering in her defense, and unapologetically loyal to the point of blindness, right? So that overt support and plausible deniability that they have for black men is blinding. This type of mammy leads protests, writes open letters, and challenges anyone who dares to critique black men, even when the critique is rooted in harm or abuse. To her, defending black men is synonymous with defending blackness itself. Right? So these are women that a lot of us will call male identified as well. Right? Because why is it that you believe black equals black man? right? Black equals black people, period. But some people, when they see blackness and the idea of being black, they only see black men and the struggles that black men have. Sorry, y'all. I need a little bit of caffeine to stay awake. They will say it's the job of a black woman to hold them down. Oh yeah, you gotta hold them down. You gotta hold them down. You gotta pay all the bills. You gotta um, be the mom and the dad. It's crazy. But behind the cape of righteousness often lies a deep desire for validation, community, and identity. Her loyalty isn't just personal; it's political, spiritual, and cultural. The core traits of an overt mammy is publicly defending black men no matter the accusation. Some people, they have a line, right? If they hear of crimes against children, against women, against old elderly people, a lot of the times they have zero defense. They have no sympathy for people who do those things, right? But the overt mammy will defend anything. They'll jump in front of black men's issues before defending black women. These are mammies. These are women that you will find on the front lines for to advocate for black men and their struggles. But when it comes to the struggles of biological women and specifically black women, they're nowhere to be found. All right. They see critiques of black men as a threat to black liberation. Right. So if other communities are willing to hold or critique black men specifically, they see those other communities or groups of people as being a threat to black people. Again, this is this idea of black men being a whole encompassing. Um, they encompass so much of what being black is, that the or in the minds of these people, that if anybody threatens or um, tries to check a black man, they'll see it as a threat to the struggles and the freedoms of black people. I know you guys have heard these types of mammies where they think if for example they think the prosecution going after Diddy was an attack on black people and not a deviant, right? Some of them were outside the courthouse congratulating Diddy. Yeah, I heard there was people acting a fool with baby oil, doing all kinds of weird stuff, saying, "Oh, it's not. If this is not trafficking, this is DV. This is prostitution. This is that." I've never seen people cheer on degeneracy. That's crazy. It's insane, and to do it proudly as if that's not a moral issue. Dita, they're at my job cheering for Diddy, victim blaming the victims. Yeah, and you'll be surprised. I saw some mammies doing streams too where they're talking about, oh, this is what Diddy gets for keeping untrustworthy people around him. I was like, what? So you're telling me you heard all these people say that he was doing freak offs every weekend, selling other people's coochies, wrapping it up in a nice fake bow of consent? I mean, just bizarre, very bizarre case. All right. Believes black men have it harder and need constant protection. So besides the fact that women and children, well, women specifically are minority groups, right? Besides the fact that women and children are specifically vulnerable, right? These people who believe men have it harder are going to feel like women and children are overly protected, that they don't need protection or advocacy from men, right? And these another core trait is that they romanticize struggle of in male redemption arcs, right? These are women who will want to tell you to stick around and ride or die with him, right? Maybe in a couple of years he'll no longer be working at Home Depot, right? Now he'll be a store clerk, and he has good hours, and he makes a nice hourly wage, and he makes $25 an hour. Protect the male predator is the mammy's duty. Exactly, the male comes first. The male's wants comes first. All right, so I'm gonna no, I'm gonna save the overt mammy because I don't think one of the cases that I want to talk to is actually an overt mammy. But considering the fact that she put her job on the line, that was why I wanted to talk about it. But we're gonna look at this case here. This case shocked me. All right, I've seen some cases of excuse me. I've seen some cases of evil family members and stuff, but the way that this auntie behaved, to me, this was like an example of an overt mammy. Now, she didn't overtly mention anything about men, but I think her demeanor and how she behaved, and the fact that her boyfriend was also influencing the situation, I'm gonna go ahead and call her a mammy anyways. All right. So this is a woman from Philly who literally put several rest in peace posts for a niece, um, nephew, or sorry, yeah, a niece and her children, and the child of another sister's kids passing away in a fire that she started. All right. So let's see how this one played out.
Dad, murder, murder, red rum, a murder, murder, red rum, Mrs. Kaiser, murder, murder, red rum, a murder, murder, red rum, who that? Murder, murder, red rum, a murder, murder, red rum, Mrs. Kaiser, murder, murder, red rum. Hey, y'all know I'm poison. Yep. Hey, you ready, murder?
And this is like, let's be real, this is mental illness as well. All right, this is undiagnosed. I don't know why whatever family member split what she was supposed to get with the other family. Like, this woman should have been in a loony bin, not waiting for half of her part of an inheritance.
I don't know. It don't even feel real. It's still, I just left out the house and seen her and everybody yesterday.
Grief and disbelief overwhelming family members of those who died in the early morning Strawberry Mansion fire. Officials saying flames started before 5 a.m. and consumed the home quickly. Neighbors saying there was barely any time for those inside to escape.
Yeah, it was very fast. I mean, we looked out the window, it was already engulfed in flames. By the time my husband came downstairs, she had already jumped out the window. And there was no going back in to help anybody else.
As the family grieved and prayed, officials from the fire department, police, and ATF investigated the cause of the fire, using accelerant sniffing dogs who kept leading detectives to the front steps where they focused their investigation. And through that investigation, that is how authorities were able to determine that this was incendiary. They believe it was set on purpose. Again, police trying to find out who did this and why. We are told they have a person of interest in this case.
For over a year, Fleet Newell had been fuming over a house she and her sister Sherry Johnson inherited. Not bought, not built, inherited. A gift from the generation before, now turned into the root of a venomous, slow-boiling feud. The home was legally both of theirs, but only...
See, for me, this is why I feel like people, like if you're going to pass down inheritance and wealth, I feel like to some degree, things can't just be given just because people have a name. Like, I feel like to some degree, you got to live up to the name or something. You got to offer something. Because that lady looked like she was a mentally ill crackhead. And she somehow was able to have access to the same inheritance.
Sherry was living in it. She had her daughter and grandkids under that roof, doing what families do, surviving. But Fleet didn't see a home. She saw a check. And when her attempts to collect her inheritance didn't go as planned, she let her bitterness rot into obsession. The sisterly conversations stopped. The legal talks got nasty. Then came the threats. She told Sherry she was going to burn it down with her inside. People brushed it off like she was just blowing off steam. Sisters fight, they said. She wouldn't actually do it. But Newell wasn't venting. She was unraveling. She didn't care about the kids. Didn't care that Sherry had nowhere else to go. Didn't care that this was family. All she...
So this is the main reason why I highlighted this one as being a mammy, right? Because although we're not seeing a direct link to a male here, but what we're seeing is that this woman had zero sympathy for a mother, right? A mother who had nowhere else to go with her children. She was heavily dependent on this family member who essentially passed the house down to the two of them, right? This sister of hers had no sympathy, empathy. She did not care that that woman would have nowhere to go with her children. She simply wanted her piece of the pie. Yeah, Dita, you always, this is the crazy part. This is why you always have to take a threat serious, because you just don't know what people are willing to do for their bottom line. Some people are willing to go to hell and back, even if that's not required of them, even if you don't have to do that in this particular situation, right? So this is why I thought of this case and was like, this is the perfect example of a mammy here, a woman who would literally be such a harmful, excuse me, detriment to a woman and children, right? To the point that she burned down the place that this woman was living with her kids. They had nowhere else to go. And guess who her co-defendant is? Her boyfriend, a dusty bandit, right? And this is why I said in the beginning, sort of like that I had some level of bias to this, because it just pissed me off, to know that like this woman really was willing to let so many innocent people in her own family pass because of half of a house. Half of a dusty house, that is what people were saying that are from that area. So, all right, let's hear a little bit more, and then, guys, I am going to end with this one. I realized that the MAMMY DSM, because of how in depth the concepts are, I'm probably gonna do chapter stories, body cam chapter stories, body cam chapter body cam. Yeah, like it's gonna be a chapter paired with videos that I sort of go along with that. Single forever. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I definitely found this woman to be overt as well, because look how like blatantly obvious and degrading she is. She's singing about red rum. She received all the things that needed to be approved. That was just, it's crazy. Let's see. All right, all right. Let me see here. And the sad part is she was posting on Facebook. That's what was like, oh, another red flag in this case. She kept posting about how sad she was about these people being gone, and how she cared, but when the police and other people interviewed and spoke with her, there was no emotions. All of them said there was none. All right? So let's hear from them. I'm going to wrap this one up today. Leave it let under an hour and a half, which will make it really good for playback value. And then I'll be back tomorrow with chapter 5 and 6. I'm probably going to combine those two. All right, let's get into it.
She wanted was her half of the inheritance, even if she had to watch it burn to ashes to feel like she won. Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. For most of her life, 32-year-old Ashley had kept her head down and her heart forward. She was a mother first, always, pregnant with her next child, raising several others, and living in a multi-generational home with her mother, Sherry. Thompson was focused on stability. Her days were full, bottles, baths, bedtime stories. She wasn't worried about enemies. Not in her home. Not in her own family. Certainly not her mother's younger sister, Fleet, who started barking about ownership of the house. After all, wasn't it their inheritance? Wasn't it passed down to both Sherry and Fleet? Surely no one would destroy a home over paperwork, right? Wrong. The home, located in the Strawberry Mansion neighborhood of Philadelphia, had become a war zone behind closed doors. Sherry lived there, cared for the home, and raised her children and grandchildren under that roof. Newell? She wanted it sold, cashed out, and if that meant putting her own blood on the street with babies in tow, so be it. What started as a dispute over an inherited home had twisted into something bitter, poisonous, and terrifying. Fleet wasn't just mad. She was vengeful, unstable. The kind of woman who threatened to burn it all down and meant it.
Yeah, and like this is the craziness of this. This is the part that makes no sense. You lost everything when you did that. Like literally what she was so mad about, she definitely wasn't gonna get now. Right? Because not only did you blow your chances of getting anything, but now you're a criminal essentially. All because you wanted some more or you wanted that money right away. I don't know if she maybe was in debt, maybe trying to pay some things off. I don't know what it was, but I don't see how this could be anything could be so urgent that you feel the need to escalate towards violence towards your own family, towards some babies. I mean, a 6-year old, I believe, an 8-year, she killed babies just because she wanted to what? I don't see anything that was worth this. I don't know what the value of that half of that little apartment was gonna be, but it's just crazy. All right, let's continue.
Ashley, shocked by her aunt's violent threats toward her mother, took it seriously. She had children to think about, a baby on the way. Sherry went to the police, filed a report, but like so many other families trying to survive in a broken system, the response was ice cold and bureaucratic. Until she does something, there's nothing we can do. So Ashley tried her best to protect her own. Sherry confronted her sister and made it clear if anything happened to her or her grandbabies, there would be hell to pay. But Fleet was already halfway there. Enraged and undeterred, she took things further. She didn't just do in anger, she built a plan. With her accomplice, 67-year-old Charles Sumter, Fleet moved like a shadow in the early morning of June 13, 2024. Around 4 a.m., they set fire to Sherry's house.
And there's always a bandit attached to these stupid situations. Ugh.
The flames didn't hesitate. Within seconds, the fire consumed the home, spreading like the same fury that had consumed Newell. By the time firefighters arrived, the house was a glowing tomb. 5 people were inside when the flames erupted. Ashley, 8 months pregnant, was found dead at the scene. Her children, 6-year-old Asad Thompson and 4-year-old Alea Thompson Newell, were rushed to the hospital but later died from their injuries. Sherry, in a desperate bid to save at least one life, leapt from the second-story window holding her 2-year-old great-niece. Miraculously, both survived. But survival isn't peace. Survival doesn't erase the screaming or the smoke or the silence that came after.
A family devastated by fire. Tonight, a mother and 2 children are dead after flames filled a Philadelphia row home. And now we've learned that fire was intentionally set.
Innocent kids. My nephew just graduated yesterday. Aside that little boy, he just graduated yesterday.
Just hours after torching her family's legacy and murdering her extended family, Fleet posted, "Good morning, Allah. Please have mercy upon my family as they..."
Oh My God. I have been on silent this whole time, guys. I'm over here talking. So I don't know if you guys heard any of what I just said, but I was over here so upset looking at this, talking about have mercy on my family. This woman needs to ask the Lord for mercy on her soul. Ask for mercy for yourself, honey. The fact that you're talking about good morning, Allah, like you didn't use fire to extinguish like some people, like they were animals, it's crazy. What's crazier is that people just sort of, they're over it. But I talked a whole lot talking about how it was time for me to go, and y'all didn't hear none of that. But for real, y'all, I do have to close up shop. I did chapter 3 today, and it's sort of an overview of the idea of mammy. One thing I'll say is that when it comes to the concept of mammy, a lot of people gaslight and act like they don't know what it is that people mean when they say that somebody's a mammy today in 2025. I think Nyla, Miss Nicole Allen, does a great job in this book of distinguishing exactly what that is. So do me a favor, guys. Check back on the link. Check back on the description of this video in about 20 minutes. I'm going to put a link in it there for you guys to find the book. Miss Nyla wanted me to let you guys know the audiobook came out first. There will be a paperback copy that has a workbook attached with it. So make sure that you guys, when that comes out, if you prefer a paperback, that you grab it. If not, the digital book is available, and that link will be in the description box in about 20 minutes, all right? Thank you all so much for coming and watching tonight. I did get started really late because I'm so tired. I got home a little bit later than I thought I was going to. But anyways, I'm going to send you guys off with some music. Black Beauty says I won't miss the next. Don't you worry. Next time I'm going to be a little bit more on top of the exact time that I do the stream and sort of just get rolling. Sometimes I get home and I'm really tired, so it takes a while for me to get rolling. So, yes, this is Nyla's book. This is let me scroll up to the top of it. Let me show this tab instead. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the cover. This book is called The MAMMY DSM, Diagnosing the Self-Sacrificing Women. This book single-handedly gives language and understanding to some concepts that have been specific and narrow to Black women that people are just now understanding. I'm telling you guys, I saw somebody in the comment section the other day saying something that I first heard Cynthia saying, first heard Nyla saying. I'm over here like, wow, how times have changed. But yes, this book single-handedly, I think, gives language and understanding to the concepts and ideas that have literally been specific to the understanding of Black women. So I think this is a good read. I did read most of it, but I wanted to leave some stuff. But yeah, Black Beauty, check back on the description in like 20 minutes. It will be in there, the digital link. Like I said, Nyla, in this case, Miss Nicole Allen, she mentioned that she's going to be doing a paperback. So you guys will have, I believe there's an autographed copy with the workbook and something else. But the paperback copies have more involved in it. It offers an opportunity to work through some of the concepts and really kind of build an understanding on it, do some journaling and stuff like that. So yes, that will be there for you guys. For any of you who are interested in getting the book. Also, I didn't read the prologue and like the intro of this book. There is some really good nugs about the understanding of the mammy, where that archetype and that role comes from in general, how it presents today, how it used to present. The prologue and in like those parts of the book where they come before the chapters, there's some good info there as well. So um, even in the digital book, feel free to look in for those pages and parts of the book that offer a little bit more understanding on where mammy specifically comes from. All right, so make sure you guys get this book. Again, check in 20 minutes. The description will have the link that's directly to the book. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right, I'm going to send you off with some music.
Arabella on my screen. Her smile, it shines so bright. She's a queen with every scene. In the morning or the night, recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Recipes and good vibes flow. Every video a gem. Her confidence, it grows and grows. We're inspired like her friends. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains so strong. Her spirit always glows. She's where we all belong. With every like and every share, we feel her energy. No storm too strong, she can't bear. She's setting us all free. Unstoppable Flora, she's got that power, spreading her aura, blossoming like a flower. Through the highs and all the lows, she remains